feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up.
Cheers.
You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it.
That's what's known as the hair of the dog.
Listen, let's get one thing straight. Guns don't kill people. I do.
Hey, baby, let's get fucked up. Let's get fucked up. Let's get fucked up. Let's do some stuff and get fucked up. Yeah, tomorrow we'll feel like we were hit by a truck, but let's get fucked up. Going to a cockfight, burn which burn. All my stuff at Hawk might never ever return. I think some apologies are going.
I've been cranky all morning, like raw nerves,
Yeah,
and I just all of a sudden my mood just turned around.
it's because of the cramps.
It's because of the cramps and the boochcraft.
Yeah, booze is good for that.
I've noticed that. We had you were here, but hosting a birthday party for a 9-year-old, and we had Nerf gun fights.
Yeah, I remember I was
And
here.
Yes, it's a lot to take in,
Oh, yeah.
energy wise. So I was like,
And a lot to give.
yes.
Yes.
So I woke up this morning like just pretty exhausted.
Yeah. Well, that's anytime you host a party, it goes like this. You plan the party.
Right.
And you invite me, usually. And then about 4 days out, you talk about canceling
Trying to
the party.
cancel.
Then the party comes.
Kate, my wife knows this because I always I had the same intro. I'm like, I'll walk into the room going like, I don't know about this. Like, who's coming again? This whole shit.
And
Like,
she's just, Go through the motions. It's okay.
Go on.
Well, then the party comes, and you are the host with the most, totally enjoying yourself, much to your own chagrin.
Yeah.
But admittedly, deep down, I can see that if you could flip a switch,
Yeah.
and make everyone have to evacuate, like someone could pull the fire alarm,
Right.
You would pull that fire alarm just to end the party
It's-
and go back to your solitary.
It's the same notion
life.
as going on vacation. It's like we'll be on vacation.
Yeah.
And, your wife will say to you, like, see, isn't this nice? You're like, it is. It's real nice. My porch.
But we're never doing this
my
again.
My porch is nicer, though. Is always my point.
Yes.
It's not that I'm a curmudgeon that doesn't like to do things. It's just I love my life. Like, I love my house. I love my neighborhood. I love my dog. I love my family. I love my friends. I'm not really lacking anything. So I don't know. That's about this last thing.
I was happy to pull up this morning and see that they were not working on the street. PG&E was not in the street.
Yeah. So yesterday I was cranky too. I don't know if you're noticing a theme here. But yeah, I was awoken to didn't wake up. I mean, I'm usually
It's a Marty theme.
yeah, I'm usually up at about 4, but we had a party planned, and then Saturday morning, all of a sudden, all these PG&E trucks show up and start unloading backhoes and jackhammers, and they just start tearing up the street. So now there's no parking in front of my neighbors or my house, and it's like, well, we're supposed to hold like a party in our backyard, and we'll be listening to an industrial jackhammer the entire day. It's like, and I usually try not to have a bad attitude about things like that. It's like, well, they're improving something, presumably. But then I found out my neighbors on one side, who we don't have the best relationship, they're kind of a general pain in the ass. I find out that they complained to PG&E that they wanted their gas line replaced, and they schedule it, so it's unnecessary. Their gas line's fine. And then they took off for the weekend. So they just had a giant work crew here with tractors dismantling the street while they're on vacation.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess they specifically scheduled it for the weekend too, like when everyone's home.
Well, when it was at least inconvenient for them.
Yeah.
'Cause they have a trip planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when my wife,
when they came over and told you that was going on before they scheduled PG&E for that weekend, what did you tell them?
oh yeah, I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah. Guessing that didn't happen.
It was that by that when I found that out, because like we had a couple things like where it was, the day was kind of spiraling down right off the bat, and then when I find that out, it's like I just kind of laughed. I was like, it's so hilariously on brand for them. But then yesterday, after that first day in 2 months, I got to roll finally.
Yes.
Holy shit! It like the cloud has been lifted. So the background is I blew my knee out, tore my meniscus like 2 months ago or something. So I haven't been able to do anything.
Right.
No cardio, no nothing. I've been lifting some weights, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's like I have to do something. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, the running joke was I'm going to be one of those like yoked out dudes with the little chicken legs. He never doesn't need cardio or run or anything.
How much you bench?
And so, yeah, I went to the gym I grabbed you and I was like, dude, let's just try it. Let me just try this thing out. I think I'm all right.
Yeah.
And I had no pain. I felt good. I felt strong. Cardio was dog shit. But
Yeah, you did pretty well.
yeah.
You're really improving.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I was in the best mood all day. So even when all these people started filtering into my house, I was like, my day is already a 10 out of 10. So.
Had you not rolled yesterday morning, I think it would have been
a different
much
scene.
different story.
Yeah.
For sure.
I actually caught myself. I was talking to like one of the neighbors or something, and just having this mundane, I don't talking about like different kinds of HVAC systems. I don't know. So I was like marginally listening. I caught myself. I was like, if I hadn't trained this morning, like I'd be coming unglued in my head right now.
Yes, the art of small talk. Something you got to practice.
Yeah, some people are really good at it.
They are. Yeah, not actually. I was funny. I pulled up to your house a week ago, and Sam was in the driveway, and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Typical like
That dude,
rat dude.
that dude can chat.
Yes, and
love him.
I brought up the weather, and and it was like I got done with that conversation.
Such an asshole.
Well, actually, I got done with that conversation. I was like thinking to myself, because I'm typically against that kind of like mundane bullshit small talk.
Yeah.
But any excuse it's like a filler, right? Any excuse to kind of get the ball rolling with, especially a dude like him who's just, it's such a pleasure to
Just
be
loves it.
around.
Yeah.
And so I was like, brought up the weather just so I'd have a reason to
Right.
talk to him.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of heading back into his house. I almost like basically stopped him like, hey, how about this weather?
I think what
Cold.
I think what I catch sometimes, because for someone like that and some other people that I know, is them being kind of overly chatty. You can tell they genuinely like enjoy it. Like they're really getting something out. So I don't mind it so much. What I try to avoid and what kind of drives me crazy is I feel that someone is just like strapped me into this three-legged, like retarded conversation that neither one of us want to have. We're just sitting there and they're talking about, hey, did you watch Super Bowl? No. Oh, it was a good game. It's just like, oh, dude, like you don't care. I don't care. Like we just go our separate ways.
Not to prolong this small talk segment longer than it needs to be, but I was
Small talk about small talk.
I was hanging out with Mike last night, and we brought up our old business partner, and we brought up the phrase that we used to use a lot, and we don't use it anymore. And I couldn't even remember exactly what the connotation was.
If you are going to bring up, okay, go ahead.
Are you about to guess what I'm about to bring up?
Yeah,
Guess.
about being left.
Yes.
Holy shit!
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
How did you?
Steel trap, baby.
Oh my
I think
God.
that was
Your brain.
the best part about that story is the three of us were hanging out, right? And we're having a beer. And then I get a text from this girl that I knew. I was single at the time. She goes, hey, why don't you come meet me? We'll have a drink, whatever. And I was like,
Oh, this is yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so I said, I told you guys, I was like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go have a drink with someone real quick. And then Mike just looks you dead in the eyes and goes, he's not coming back. I was like, yeah, I am. I'll be back like half hour. Like, I'll be right back. He's just like, he won't acknowledge me. He's just got these deadpan eyes looking at you. He's like, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
And so I go and have a drink and I come back, because I said I was going to.
You came back.
And Mike's gone. He had left. And so I was like, what is that guy's deal? Like, what was that all about? And you go like, maybe he got left. And you meant like maybe someone left him and he had abandonment issues. And I don't, for whatever reason, my brain took it like, because I said, you go, maybe he got left. I'm like, dude, tell me about it. Because in my brain, like, the mothership left the planet and left him behind.
You got left behind.
Like he's from another place.
So that became like our go-to.
We'd see
If someone
someone
was
like,
really like weird, we'd say,
dude, that
guy
guy
got left. Nice. Wow, I can't believe you called that. I'm going to tell him that.
We got to start using that again. That's
I know.
such a perfect way to describe people.
It's faded from our lexicon.
Yeah. So what do you got in your mind this week?
Oh, little of this, little of that. I don't know if you heard about the tragedy that's happening in Europe right now.
Uh-huh.
I think that, instead of me describing it, I'm just going to let Joy Behar.
Oh, this always ends well.
50,000 Ukrainians will be dead or wounded, and that this is going to start a humanitarian crisis, a refugee crisis in Europe. We're talking about 5 million people that are going to be displaced. I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear what is going to happen.
You think that's heartbreaking?
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe, too.
Yeah.
You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic. And now this, it's like, what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that serious?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
God. I mean, her heart is really breaking. It's tragic. I mean, hearing her say that, I almost want to, reach out and do something to help Joy Behar go on vacation in Italy.
Trying to emotionally decompress right now. I always try to explain to people when they put all their there's the media, what we call the cathedral, or they put their faith in the state and the mainstream media and Anderson. I was like, dude, these people do not give a shit about you. Like, where does this blind faith come from that Gavin Newsom cares about you and your family? Like, not only do they not care, they have nothing but disdain for just the working class, for just normal working people.
They want to destroy you.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But that is tragic.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you have to admit.
Italy is nice. I'll give her that.
I've never been, but I'd like to. And it's just, it's just too bad I can't.
So as we were talking about last time, as it pertains to Russia and Ukraine, is like we kind of toggle back and forth. I was like, I don't want to pay attention to it because I don't believe we should be involved. We shouldn't be there. But on the other hand is we are going to get involved, and we could be looking at potentially a world war. And so now I'm kind of forced to kind of check this stuff out. Much I just hate it. But the first thing I always notice is when people get all in on social media, and they were posting the Ukrainian flag on there, and all of a sudden everyone is the same people that were virologists a couple months ago are now foreign policy military consultants. Is I immediately when I ever get into something, the first thing that I start paying attention to is just how wrong or misleading or just straight up lying the media is, the way that they spin the different narratives. So I started making a list of all the things, because what's our saying about conspiracy theories? It's
Lord loves a working man.
Yes, thank you. And they also, the only difference between a far-right fringe conspiracy theory and the truth is usually about 6 months.
6 months.
And I'm not trying to be I told you so guy, but it sure seems like us and our group of friends seem to have things right the first time. And the reason why we do that is because I just have such a distrust for anything coming from mainstream media or the state or our military or LeBron James or whatever. I was like, whatever they're saying, it's bullshit. I'm gonna believe the opposite. We'll see
Yeah.
how it turns out. And then
So I was watching Newcastle play yesterday morning, and if you watch Premier League soccer, you are probably sick and tired of seeing the players kneel before every game in solidarity with Black Lives Matter.
right.
They don't promote the Black Lives Matter part as much anymore, but they still do the kneeling, and they say there's no room for racism, and racism is the worst thing in the world. It's worse than it's ever been. I mean, to believe what they tell you, you would think that we are just in the most racist time in human history, when the exact opposite is true. Well, yesterday, they still kneeled, but instead of it being for...
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Solidarity with Ukraine.
Exactly. So I'm watching, I'm like, wait a second. What happened to the racism?
Solve that.
Yeah, we're done with that? Like, I thought we were kneeling for racism. Is that, all of a sudden, that's not a problem? Like, what the hell? So, yeah, of course. So, you know what happened is very interesting in sticking with sports for a second and the Premier League. Chelsea fans were playing an away game. Well, the team was playing an away game.
Okay.
Chelsea fans were there visiting. And do you know about the owner of Chelsea is Russian?
No.
He's a Russian billionaire.
Okay.
He's being forced to sell the team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just because he's Russian?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
No, they are going after any wealthy Russian. Joe Biden was saying this. I don't know if it was in the State of the Union or right around the same time, but about going after wealthy Russians and taking their stuff, taking their yachts, taking their houses, taking their bank accounts. Just because you're a wealthy Russian, they feel entitled to just go and take their shit from them.
So, oh, my God. I cannot believe. Okay. So if you have this conversation with someone, you're like, yeah, that's fucked up. You can't do that.
It's
Someone's
illegal.
Like, well, what Russia's doing is fucked up. Like, okay. What if the rest of the world held American citizens responsible for what their government did, for what their military did?
For the number
get
of
pretty
innocent
ugly
people that were
pretty
killed
quick.
by our military.
Yes. That would get pretty ugly.
I think the level of destruction that has happened at our hands in the last 20 years versus that's
Right.
happening in Ukraine is probably 1,000,000 to 1.
Dude, you can't
I mean, how
hold
many citizens,
private citizens accountable for what their government does? That's
how many
asinine.
innocent citizens have been killed in Ukraine? Like, I've only heard someone guess at numbers recently once, and it was like 2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's nothing. That's like
Right.
2/3 of a 9/11, right? It's big time. But compared to the millions of innocent people that have been killed by the U.S.
Right.
military, you know, regardless of whether or not you think what they were doing is right or wrong. I mean, if you're just basing it on innocent people being killed, which is, I think, what the point is with all the solidarity with Russia and sending them aid and supporting them and clapping for 1 minute before the game, I think that's what that's all about. So listen to this.
Okay.
The coach of Chelsea, his name is Tuchel or something. I don't actually know how to say it. He reprimanded the Chelsea fans because during this
Who did?
the coach
Which coach?
of Chelsea,
Okay. Reprimanded the.
his own fans,
Okay, gotcha.
because what they're doing now is this 1 minute of applause before the game starts, before they kneel to support Ukraine.
Right.
That's what they need.
Okay.
Is clapping. That's there's one thing the poor people in Ukraine need. It's clapping.
It's the pussy hat of the Premier League.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to. So the Chelsea fans interrupted the clapping with the song in support of Abramovich, the owner.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because this guy, this wealthy Russian, took Chelsea from the dregs of soccer and brought them into being one of the most powerful teams in the world.
Yes.
Not every owner does that. A lot of owners just want to make money off the team. Like the previous owner of Newcastle was that way, and the fans hated him. But this guy, the fans love him because they made their team prominent.
When I watched soccer, I was a Chelsea fan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm just going to read a couple of quotes here. This is what the coach said to the fans. It's not the moment to do this. If we show solidarity, and we should do it together. We take the knee together. If an important person from our club or another club unfortunately dies, we have a minute of respect. It's not the moment to give other messages. It's the moment to show respect. We want to do this. As a club, we need our fans to commit to this minute of applause. And hold on. This is the good one. We do it for Ukraine, and there is no second opinion about this situation.
Wow.
They have our thoughts and our support, and we should stand together. It's not the moment for other messages. So if you're out there thinking, you knock it off. There's only one opinion on this, and it's our opinion.
Thought criminals.
Exactly.
You know, okay, so we're just talking about how like just ridiculous it would be if private citizens were held accountable for whatever military aggression that their government enacted, which is it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I was doing the dive. I don't know, just my latest insomnia hobby right now is, since everyone's just so wrapped up in Ukraine and they just this weird like knee jerk. It's like you have to be with Ukraine. I've got a Ukraine flag on my Facebook, and there's a picture. Here's just me on Instagram like pouring out Russian vodka. It's just fucking the stupidest thing ever. I started doing research, and this stuff's like kind of hard to find. But I found like a couple like go-to websites that seem to be pretty consistently right about these things. So correct, yes. And so thank you. And remember how we were talking about how 2 podcasts ago? It's like, okay, if you are so panicked about Ukraine, that's like, but when when the U.S. did an illegal drone strike,
Hold on. Wait, Tupac?
No, huh?
You said when Tupac has to go.
I never said that. Why would I say that?
I don't know. I was trying to follow you there.
He's already dead. That'd be a redundant thing to say.
Or is he? He's released a few albums since
That's
his death.
what I'm getting at.
Okay. Bring it all around.
After Fidel Castro, Father Justin Trudeau. As we were pointing out the hypocrisy of people getting so upset about the thing in Ukraine, I'm like, okay, what about when we had the illegal, drone strike in the Middle East that killed 7, innocent children?
Yeah.
It's like you had no opinion on that. How do you make those two things work in your head? So I've been going, okay, well, we're all focused on this, whatever fashionable foreign intervention is going on right now, which is Ukraine and Russia. As I start looking, I'm like, what else is going on that we're not hearing about because of this? And I don't think I'm ready to get there yet, but I think this whole thing is fake. This whole thing was coordinated between the U.S. and Russia and Ukraine. I think we're going to do that next time. But
I definitely would not be surprised if that was the case.
Did you know last Tuesday, U.S. conducted a drone strike in Somalia?
Yes. I do. I knew that.
You do because you're a fucking weirdo like I am.
I guarantee that if we called up any one of our friends right now and asked them, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
With the exception of 2.
It's the first strike we've had there since August, but we have been bombing that place since 2007. Killing innocent civilians.
Now, we're killing dissident militants, Matt.
The Pentagon said they cannot confirm how many insurgents were killed in the strike or if there were any civilian casualties.
They said that, huh? Well, I mean, I believe them.
Their track record is pretty decent.
I mean, if they said it.
So I brought this up yesterday to someone at the party, and they're just kind of looking at me like, why?
Tell me it was your neighbor that you barely know.
No.
Darn it.
I try to keep it as they told my wife, quote unquote, your husband sure keeps it close to the vest.
Yes.
To which my wife said, like, no, he doesn't. So then I started doing a deeper dive, and I found some great sites. One being antiwar.com, which is
Scott Horton.
Yeah, helped by run by Scott Horton. The other one is called airstrikes.com, and it's a conglomerate of independent foreign correspondents and journalists.
Yeah,
and it's
all about airstrikes.
Yes,
interesting.
It's airstrikes and civilian deaths.
Cool.
And they start
not the deaths, the fact that they're reporting on it.
And they started in 2007, and they map by the day. Like, this is what happened today.
Kidding.
This is what happened today. This
That's
is what happened
awesome.
today. Yeah, and it's the verification process seems pretty pretty right on. I mean, it's essentially an aggregate of hundreds and hundreds of foreign correspondence writing. Thing is, I pop some of the stuff into Google. It is so hard to find.
I know.
It's pages down.
I know.
DuckDuckGo came right up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's still you still
even
have to look
sometimes
for
on
it. You still have to
DuckDuckGo.
look for it.
Yeah.
But none of this stuff will be in mainstream media.
No.
But so the reason why I bring this up, though, as I did at the party yesterday, it's like this is I bring this up for all you like armchair fucking slacktivists that are on Facebook putting Ukrainian flag on. It's like these things are happening all over the world, and there's no attention paid to it whatsoever. And it makes me sick how it's just one, because some celebrities start, some people from Hollywood, fucking sing, Imagine on their Facebook profile or whatever. It's like now all of a sudden, like, well, this is the kind of the fashionable war that we should be worried about, and this is the side you're supposed to take. It's like, have you done no critical thinking? You've done no any kind of like research on this, on what your opinion's supposed to be? And if you did, why are you so outraged about this one thing and these other things you don't give a shit about? Yeah. It's a human life. It's a human life. It doesn't matter where it is or what country it is. It's ridiculous.
No,
by the way, left, you find it interesting that like you're all worked up about the Ukraine, which is all white people, yet we blow up a bunch of fucking like innocent brown kids in the other side of the world and no one gives a shit. And like how are you ones accusing everyone of being racist all the time? Make that make sense to me.
Totally.
I wasn't going to get angry today, and it didn't work.
Oh, we knew, Marty.
Your fight is our fight.
Ваша боротьба – це наша боротьба.
2017 will be the year of offense.
Рік 2017 рік буде ріком нападу.
All of us will go back to Washington, and we will push the case against Russia.
Ми всі повернемося до Вашингтону, і ми будемо відстоювати санкції проти Росії.
Enough of a Russian aggression.
Досить вже російської агресії.
It is time for them to pay a heavier price.
Час вже, щоб вони заплатили важчу ціну.
I believe you will win. I am convinced you will win. We will do everything we can to provide you with what you need to win.
Я вірю в те, що ви виграєте, переможете. Я переконаний в тому, що ви переможете, і ми вам допоможемо всіма можливими засобами.
People thinking what they're told to think, and they can't see it. My mom sent me an email.
The best stories always start with that sentence.
On Friday, and it was a forward of an email that she got from Bernie Sanders. And well, it said
we're living in such a fucking clown world.
It said like, dear, I'm not going to use her name, but dear, my mom's name, and it's my mom goes by a shortened version of her name, so it was just like dear, the long version,
gotcha.
like as if my mom's name was Betty. It was like, dear Elizabeth. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Ukraine really needs our support, and this is an awful thing that's happening. This is unprecedented. We haven't had a war in Europe since World War II, and this is just the worst thing ever. As if, like, that means anything. We haven't had a war in Europe, and therefore this is a really terrible thing. It's like, what about all the other fucking wars? You were just saying, where we were killing innocent people.
That makes as much sense as, remember the guy who used to make fun of that was like, crazy weather. It's like, yeah, this is definitely earthquake weather. What? Yeah. Earthquake weather?
Well, yeah, we're due. We're due.
We're dead.
What is there, a clock ticking down somewhere? Yeah, of course. So, and basically just this letter was like, dear Betty, this is how you're supposed to think on this. So let me do the heavy lifting for you, so you don't have to actually use your brain, because I know that you're busy using apps to tell you how to get to a store you've been to 100 times. You follow Siri to the convenience store down the street, and I know that's a lot of work. So let me take this off your plate and tell you how to think about this Ukrainian thing. And God, I wanted to respond so bad, but I have my child's inheritance to think about. So I
long game, baby.
Kidding.
Long game.
Not kidding. I responded with, I wanted to respond. I wanted to type it. I was thinking the same things that we're talking about right now.
It's like,
What?
Mom, did you know we're currently involved in conflicts in 8 countries right now that you don't hear?
Yeah, delete.
Fill the burn.
No, I said, you know Bernie Sanders? Haven't gotten a response.
Oh, Jesus.
That's weird, dude.
So I started following, just going off what we were just saying is it's not just Somalia too. We are the U.S. and U.S.-led coalitions are in active military aggression in 8 countries right now that we know of. These are just ones that people can find out about and report, independent reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to find that reporting, which takes a crazy amount of time. But yeah, there's nothing in the mainstream about this. So I looked at just in February, we had military aggressions in Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Libya, Iraq. That's not even getting to like we might be getting involved in Ukraine and Russia at this point.
Right.
It's did you know? Because there's a point of when
We kind of are getting involved already.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not trying to go on some throw a leftist tantrum because Lord knows.
Well, you're not a leftist.
Yeah,
so that
and
would be
the
weird.
world is not lacking in that category. So I would hate to add.
Yeah, we got that covered.
Yeah. It's when people. I don't think people do the thinking when they just mindlessly put a Ukraine. They turn into this what we always refer to as like a tribal binary kind of way of thinking.
Yeah, binary tribalism.
It's like I don't think we should be involved in that. It's like we got to support Ukraine. It's like no, we don't belong there. Like there's going to be cost to what we do, and so immediately so you're just pro Russia. It's like no, I did not say that.
Yeah.
Is your brain function as an on-off switch? Are you that fucking stupid? Like you can't have a conversation with nuance that might have more than one alternative way of thinking on the subject. It's so frustrating.
It's like that guy I was arguing with on Twitter. It was like saying that. Oh, so you back Putin then? I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's what someone told me.
Yeah.
I said, I put something on Twitter. It said, man, it's really kind of mind-bending to watch the left is all of a sudden all for border sovereignty, having an armed citizenry, and they're all in on foreign military aggression.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you're just all for Putin. I was like, what?
How can you get that from what I just said? Yeah.
On, off, on, off.
Yes.
on, off.
Black, white, red,
dude,
blue.
It's.
By the way, the whole wearing the colors of Ukraine has made me start to think their colors are yellow and blue, right?
Yeah.
And so people are wearing
that's
yellow
why my
and blue.
face is painted like this.
I know. I figured. Yeah.
Yellow and blue nation, baby.
Yeah. So exactly. Why do we have colors for countries? It's kind of weird. It's like there's sports teams.
Do you know why? Because it's just as arbitrary and ridiculous as fucking sports.
It is.
It's like painting your face silver and black at a Raiders game.
Exactly. I'm not for. So our colors are red, white, and blue. You got to support the red, white, and blue. You hear that all the time. This is so important. Our team, but it's that same thing where you're told what to think. You have to support our team, our sports team, our team against the other teams. Bullshit. I am not in favor of any government that's going to fuck with anyone else, with me or the Russians or the Ukrainians. I'm not on the teams. I'm not playing sports in this conflict that could end up, if it did go nuclear, killing off most of the planet. Between us and Russia, we have 95% of the world's nuclear arsenal.
Yeah.
Do
you know, have they put together a committee or are they paying any attention? Is there going to be an acceptable amount of diversity at the Ukrainian half show? Do you know who's playing?
The Ukraine-Russia halftime show?
Yeah.
Of course.
It better, because I will hashtag the shit out of someone if there is not.
Actually, we're not into racism anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, that's done. We fixed that.
Woo! It's load off?
Yeah. No, it's only Ukraine.
Okay, gotcha.
All Ukraine. Did you see that article that James sent us about 1 million bullets being sent over to Ukraine?
Yes. Rounds.
Of bullets.
technically, the bullet is part of the round.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's nothing anyone likes more than being corrected.
We should go to a party later. Meet some girls.
Yes. His point was pretty valid. It's like, wait a second, we've been in an ammo shortage for 2 years, and we just have 1 million rounds to send over to Ukraine. Well, I looked into something on that. What I had heard was that all of the guns that we sent over there ended up in the hands of
gangsters.
Yep. So the same thing's going to happen to these bullets.
I just listened.
So by supporting Ukraine, hashtag send 1 million rounds.
Yeah.
We're actually totally hurting the people that live there because we're basically giving ammo to gangsters.
Yeah.
Back when Crimea happened, we gave them. I have an article here, but I'm not going to go into it. We gave them a bunch of ammo and guns back when the Crimea thing happened.
Also,
they don't know, and then we gave them that amount year after year after year since then, and now they don't know where those guns are.
It's like the Fast and Furious program under Obama.
Exactly.
All the guns in.
They just all
like,
disappeared.
We don't know where they went. I guess the cartels have them. Like, whoops.
Yeah. So we're doing that again, and they're saying the same exact thing is happening.
Yeah.
And that's why you see all those guys standing around with cardboard guns.
Yes.
Because they can't get the real guns. They're in the hands of the mafia.
Funny enough, I happen to have that on my list of things to talk about. I don't know. I guess I want to get the point across to people because, like we were saying, you and I were talking earlier today, it's like we're obviously not on the left. And so people, they just have this stereotype like, well, you guys are on the right. It's like, no, we're not on the right either. We're calling bullshit on what everyone's doing. We're just anti-state. They're all full of shit. In my mind, there's no difference. There is no difference between Democrats and Republicans. They're the same people. They're all fucking career criminal, authoritarian psychopaths who want to fucking subjugate you and take all your shit. That's why they're in government. Like, you have to have that in your personality to take that job in the first place. You're a tyrant. You're a fucking broken person. So when I talk about stuff like foreign intervention rather, is, you know, whatever side you want to be on is okay, but you first, before you post that flag or you tell someone that, you know, they're a Russian agent, it's like you really need to think about, like, even if it's a righteous cause that we get involved somewhere in a foreign affair with our military, there's going to be a cost, right?
Yeah, like we'll start with let's just start with the given. It's a righteous cause.
Yeah.
We're
trying to stop a genocide.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the people that are being murdered are totally innocent, and the people that are doing the murdering are totally guilty.
Yeah.
Start there.
Okay. Think about this. If it is a big enough cause for us to get involved in the military, like, it's almost a prerequisite that it's going to involve like hundreds of thousands of people, like for the cause to make it, you know, into a global issue that, you know, other countries are getting involved. So I've been trying to, like, pose this situation to people. Like, think about it like this. Let's say you are who you are, right? And we get involved with a skirmish from another government or whatever, and there is let's just say drone strike, right? And think about you and your family and your community. And let's say the drone strike kills you. Let's say you stay alive. Let's say it kills. Let's say it kills your wife, your kid, and your dog. So, Ruby Ridge. Allergies.
Gesundheit.
Sorry. Is okay. You are now a terrorist. Like, you are your life's mission is revenge, right? And now it's mine.
You're saying I've been radicalized by the U.S. government?
Yes.
I don't know. I think it's probably from listening to
Glenn Beck,
Rush Limbaugh. Not the people that murdered my whole family, including my dog.
So now your life's mission is to avenge your family, and not only you, but probably your entire family.
And originally, I actually wanted the help that was supposedly coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, they've radicalized me because our families are super tight. I was like,
right.
Let's say, I don't know. Let's say Canada did this. And so you're like, I am going to teach the rest of my kids to hate Canada with every fiber in their being. I'm going to do the same for my. Think of how many friends.
You have nothing left to lose.
Think of how many friends you have. Like that one action.
6.
Okay. It's going to be 5 if you don't shave that mustache off. Okay.
I almost did the other day.
But what they have done is the most effective advertising campaign to make terrorists, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many that we know of since this between anti-war and airwars.com? Do you know how many civilians that the U.S. or U.S.-backed coalitions have killed since 2007?
So that's 15 years?
Yeah. 59,482 that we know of, that were like verified. Like we have the names, we verified it with relatives.
Wow.
So think about the situation I just told you about someone drone striking your family and the amount of enemies they create. Now times that by almost 60,000.
57,000 times 60,000?
Don't do it.
Why? What's the 60,000?
So with each, what I'm saying is, we've killed 60,000 innocent civilians since 2007, either us or U.S.-backed coalitions. Yeah. And every single one of those deaths is going to have a ripple effect through the community and their family members and everything.
That ripple effect, multiply that by 60,000. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to thank Northrop Grumman and BlackRock for sponsoring my new segment called This Is Why Planes Fly Into Buildings. I'm serious, though.
You're going to do a segment called This Is Why Planes...
That was the segment.
Yeah, I know. It's fucked up. And it's not ever going to stop because nobody actually knows it's happening because everyone only thinks about what they're told to think about.
All right. I'm now starting to realize why my wife is going to refer to this room as the angry room from now on.
We just call this room Seth.
Well played.
Dude, you know what I was thinking about recently? Being on... So, the FBI regularly infiltrates groups and tries to entrap them into doing some...
Hashtag Ray-Ups.
Exactly. Some crazy thing like that. And I was thinking about, how does the FBI select these people?
Select the people
that they're going
infiltrate?
That they're going to, radicalize, essentially. They are literally radicalizing. They're already kind of radical, right? And they want to just push them over the edge.
Right.
And then arrest them for doing the thing that they pushed them to do. But how do they choose those guys? Because I was thinking about us, and if they got wind of, like, this podcast from our dozens of listeners, would they would never have a chance of radicalizing us, because as soon as we spoke to them or got an email from them or whatever, ran into them at the truck stop, I don't know how they do their thing, we would just be
with the brown bandana and
in the pocket.
Sailor.
We would be
like, all yours, Captain.
We would be instantly aware, tipped off.
I know. I'm already convinced. That everyone's listening. People are listening to me, and I meet like friends of mine. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy's a Fed.
Totally. Did I talk to you?
It was a healthy way to go through life, I suggest.
Yeah, totally. Very balanced. It's good for sleep.
Happy anniversary, babe. I'm just going to pat you down real quick before we have dinner.
I told you about that Italian dude at the coffee shop?
Yes.
Did I talk about it on the podcast?
No.
Well, I'll tell it again just real quick. This guy kept coming in the coffee shop, and he would kind of make eye contact with me and give me like a little nod, like he was kind of trying to reach out to me, trying to get me to talk to him. And I was like, you fucking Fed. I'm not. I wasn't really thinking that, but I was thinking I was thinking it, but I wasn't letting myself go there fully. But it was in the back of my mind, I'm like, why is this guy trying to befriend me? And he's doing it in kind of an awkward way. And then I had Luciano in there, and every once in a while he'd go outside and talk on the phone. I could hear him speaking in a foreign language, and I was trying to think like, oh my God, he's like Israeli special forces. It's so stupid. So I had Luciano.
When people ask, why don't you watch TV? I don't have to, man. If you hang out with the people I did.
So I had my boy in there with me, and he's super outgoing and just, the best icebreaker there is. Everyone gravitates to him. And he goes and walks over on the bench next to this guy because that's where the break in the tables is, and he's going to jump down onto the floor. And he looks at the guy and he goes, want to see how far I can jump? And the guy's like, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. And jump down.
You just did, mister.
Yeah. Yeah, see? Exactly. Turns out the dude is from Italy. He's living here, he speaks Spanish, so we were able to communicate through Spanish. And Luciano, my son, speaks Spanish, and he they were talking. But I just thought, like, goddamn, I totally, like, just went into that weird, untrusting space with this guy for no reason. It turns out he's just here and a stranger in a strange land, and he was just trying to connect with somebody because he probably feels really awkward. I've been there when I lived in Mexico. It was really difficult, like to not have people that you could talk to, and so I actually felt kind of bad. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. So I can just say, "Hey,
apologize." Hey, man, I'm real sorry about the last 6 months.
Yeah, I am going to need to pat you down though.
That way I'll be more relaxed and we can create a friendship.
Trust me, it's better for both of us.
One thing that I noticed with the Ukraine-Russia thing, just not so much related to the actual unfolding military conflict, but it's just another example. I'm infatuated with just how dishonest our media is and just how wrong. And so there's just kind of that litmus test. I was like, it's one or the other, man. Stupid or you're lying. There's only two things that could have been. You got it completely wrong. So you're either lying to me or you're so inept and inefficient and terrible at your job that you get it wrong 100% of the time. And it's just always surprising to me that these mainstream outlets, the media outlets, get it wrong so much, and yet people just, I don't know, they keep parroting the information, quote unquote, that they get from him. It makes no sense. I made a list of a couple things. This is Adam Kinzinger. He's a Republican. He was on the head of the J6 committee, so he was spearheading the prosecution of everyone involved in that.
January
6th, yeah. He tweeted this, and it stood out to me. Quote, "The ghost of Kiev has a name. He has absolutely, all caps, owned the Russian Air Force.
Oh, yeah.
Godspeed and more kills, Samuel." That's a fucking politician, dude.
Yeah.
You're speaking about something that, if it unfolds, is going to result in the death of hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. And you're talking about like it's a sporting event.
Yeah.
It's fucking, it's
well, it is.
It's sickening. It's like, I'm actually nauseous when I see that. And everyone liking that, you know what I mean? And sharing it and retweeting it and everything.
They just want it. They want it so bad. This propaganda, they want World War II dogfights.
So then
cheer on.
Then they post footage of the, quote, the ghost of Kiev. This they posted his record like it's an MMA fighter. I said, like, Ghost of Kiev is now 13-0. He took down 13 Russian MiGs. It's ridiculous.
It's like they're pulling this straight out of the World War II playbook, as if we haven't evolved as.
So here's what's interesting: Ghost of Kiev doesn't exist.
Stop it.
Yep.
No.
There's no Samuel.
What?
There's no Ghost of Kiev.
Oh my God.
The footage that
I feel betrayed.
The media outlets that shared the footage of, quote unquote, the Ghost of Kiev are currently in a lawsuit with a video game company.
I was going to say,
It's from a video game simulator called Digital Combat Simulator.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they're using footage from all sorts of things that aren't actually this war.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And they've really jumped the shark though with the video game footage.
You got
to be kidding me.
Yeah, the photo of Zelensky.
Well, it's like you said. Do you think we're stupid?
Stupid or liar?
Or
which one is it?
It's like.
So, and they say, well, I mean, it still doesn't mean the story's not true. Like, well, okay, if you're lying about half of it, why would I believe the other half? You know what I mean? So, Snake Island, 13 Ukrainians said, "Go fuck yourself," when confronted with a Russian Navy, and the Russians mowed them down. Total martyrs. The story went around the globe immediately. All those 13 Ukrainians, alive and well. They just surrendered. They weren't killed. I saw that story everywhere.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video, the tank video of a tank like veering off and running over that car, that civilian car? That video is like shared all over social media, and CNN shared it.
I haven't seen it.
Ukrainian tank.
I don't watch the news.
It was a Ukrainian tank.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Of course.
Have you seen the pictures of the Ukrainian supermodels that are joining the fight? And I showed a picture of them like holding their arms, like, yeah, we're going to the front lines.
Yes.
They're holding pellet guns.
Are they?
Yeah, look closely. Those are not guns.
Well, how are they why are they putting them on the front lines with pellet guns?
One's an airsoft gun. One's a. You mentioned earlier the photo that we all shared of the Ukrainian soldiers.
Yeah,
holding cardboard cutouts,
air quote soldiers.
Yeah. And this isn't like you can say, well, someone could share dumb photos. Like, no, it's a photo of that on the news. With a byline going on underneath.
Yeah,
it's have you seen There's a viral video that I will play. And this was sold as a Ukrainian girl screaming at Russian soldiers. This is a foreign language, so bear with me for a sec.
This one. It's actually hard to listen to.
Yeah, it is. I'm not trying to make light of that video.
I understand. I'm just
tug on your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Here is the problem with that video. What month is it right now?
I'm looking at the computer. It's March.
Do you know, like, roughly? I'm not going to nail you on this. What the temperature in Ukraine is right now?
And
it's winter.
Fahrenheit or centigrade?
Fahrenheit, please.
It's like
it's in the 20s.
20 something.
Winter. Yeah. This video of this quote Ukrainian girl yelling at quote Russian soldiers. They're in a desert. She's wearing shorts and a tank top, and these are obviously Middle Eastern soldiers.
Matt, they're tough people.
Are they?
The Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wear shorts
so tough
and
that
tank
they
tops.
changed the weather?
They wear shorts and tank tops in freezing weather.
That video, with 5 minutes of internet research, it's that girl's, she's Israeli. She's yelling at Palestinian soldiers. It's like that video's from 2016.
Yeah, well, the story's true, Matt. It's just that it's a different video.
Okay.
That did happen. A little girl yelled at Ukrainian tanks.
Okay.
That's just a different... I really think you're reading too much into this.
I like you. We should adopt a lefty.
Yes.
One of us has to take on the persona.
No, we should actually adopt a lefty. Yes. We'll become their gay dads.
Either way, we should make that like a fake social media account or make a website.
Adoptalefty.com. Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah.
Have you met our trans son? I'm not trans. You're trans.
Yes. We're so proud. Have you met our trans son? I'm not trans. Yes, you are, son.
I'm 32. What the hell are you guys doing?
You want to take a left turn into a little bit lighter subject?
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk about child rape. So James and I were talking the other day about school.
Okay.
And I haven't decided where to send my son for school yet. And I was thinking about sending him. I want to send him to the local Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, made the joke that everyone makes, like the math and the English is good, but
just go. Don't say it.
It's the other things that. So I have to say it because it's part of the.
Yeah.
It's the point. But what about the child raping? And I don't really believe that this school that we're considering that is a concern at all. Yeah, because we have many friends that send their kids there, and it seems like a really great school. Mm-hmm. But James pointed something out to me that I had no idea about.
I think I know this.
Do you know that your child is more likely to be raped in public school than they are by a priest?
Yep.
Do you know how many times more likely?
No, I didn't know the exact stat.
100.
Really?
Yeah. It is between... So they did a study, and I've actually found this on multiple...
So it's interesting you bring this up because my kid is also in a private Catholic school. And I've had lefty friends say that. Like, aren't you worried about, like, the whole, like, child sexual abuse? Just look in the eye, like... Do you really think I would put my kid in that kind of situation? Mm-hmm. Like that I haven't done some kind of research and assessment before I put my kid in that school?
Hold on, let me stop you there. Yes, he does get raped, but they don't have to wear masks at recess. So I think, it's a net win for us.
Wow.
Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. So
that was a solid joke.
Listen to these stats. So they studied the time period was between 1950 and 2002. So 50 years. 10,667 young people were sexually mistreated by priests. Okay. Mm-hmm. In contrast, this is from this article, and just it's worth noting that I have a few sources that cite this study. CBS being one of them, CBS News, and their headline is why is the mainstream media why is the media ignoring child sexual abuse in public schools?
Yeah.
And
what's the narrative?
Well, that's kind of cool that they...
I'm surprised that CBS...
Because people ask, like, well, how come it's not being reported? And it's like, because they're ignoring it.
Yeah.
And CBS News is even saying they're ignoring it.
All the media is there to propagate a far left narrative, and the far left narrative is that public schools are good and private schools are bad.
Yeah. Okay, so over this 50-year period, you had 10,600 and whatever young people sexually abused by priests over 50 years. 10,000. Okay. Another study found that between 91 and 2000, so over 10 years, 290,000 students were sexually abused by public school employees. Now, obviously, the per capita, difference matters.
Yeah.
But when you do the math and you carry the one, it ends up being 100 times more likely to be molested in public school than private school.
So that's taken into account with the number of people in a private Catholic school and the number of people in a public school, right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
That's astounding.
You would be stupid for not. If that was your biggest concern, you'd be a really dumb person for putting your kid in a public school rather than a Catholic school.
I appreciate that you didn't say the R word, but I also need to point out that 2 minutes ago you made like one of the most horrific child rape jokes I've ever heard about my kid, by the way.
Trying to be PC, bro. I don't know why I didn't want to say the R word right there. I normally would say it with, reckless abandon, but
pretty selective moral righteousness.
It comes and goes.
Yeah,
it kind of fades in, fades out.
It's like morality Tourette's.
I honestly, that is a good way to describe it. I say some horrible things sometimes, and
that's how we named the podcast.
Never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
So what do you think people's just knee-jerk inclination is, on the left of just this infatuation that public schools are good, public teachers are good, public school teachers are good? I've had
it's just what they're told to think.
Tense conversations. Essentially, like a lot of this came out to play through the prism of COVID because, schools were kind of on the hot seat. And then you had school unions trying to close down, LA, they're still trying to shut down the schools and keep the mask mandates.
People think what they're told to think. It all comes down to that.
I think it's like so many other things that we talk about. It's just so many things can just be seen through the lens of being statist versus non-statist.
100%.
And I think a lot of these things is, I kind of roughly started kind of creating a tier system of status in my head, because at the top, I would think that you have basically psychopathic authoritarians, also known as politicians. Like, they want to be in power. Like, I know what's best for everybody, and they're tyrants. And at the point of a gun, I am going to enforce the way you live your life, where your kid's going to go to school, what kind of car you can drive, what you can eat, how big your house can be, what you can do with your private property, on and on and on. And then the next strata, I think, is just you have like just the useful idiots. So I don't know, 80% of the this would be the left right now, because it's switched left versus right. Left are they full authoritarians now. That's the people that, I don't know, they're probably heart's in the right place, but they're sold all these authoritarian policies just based on like emotional whims, or quote unquote the greater good, or they actually believe a politician saying like, no, I know what's best for you. It's the what we call the bigotry of low expectations. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's everywhere from like the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, like to the public school, to what you can do with your private property, to am I allowed to, how much control over I have the business that I built. It just comes down to that status versus non-status prism.
It's the only way to talk about it. And honestly, I was going to say this to you. I think from now on this show and on Twitter or Instagram, whatever, when we talk about it, we completely eliminate left and right from our...
It's the first thing I say when I talk to people. They say like...
Well, I mean, we can't tweet anymore about lefties and leftists, progressives, whatever. I think we stick strictly to this status versus non-status format. Make that our thing, because it's so much clearer. Have you you don't listen to Jimmy Dore?
No.
I rarely listen to him, but I download his podcast, right? I have it on my list of podcasts, and I always read it to see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The dude is the most red-pilled progressive that there is. So he is totally anti-state. His economics are off. If you don't talk about economics with him, and Dave Smith's had him on his show, and they didn't bring up economics.
Yeah,
they talked about everything else. They were like they were seeing eye to eye on everything. They didn't even talk about economics. His economics are silly, but it's just because he doesn't know better. But he is totally red-pilled in that everything that he, like the Ukraine thing, he's considered a lefty, he's considered a progressive, but he is totally anti he's pro the truth of what's going on, and it's not even being anti.
Right.
You don't fall into that trap. He is pro people knowing what's going on in Ukraine right now, even though he's a lefty. So
yeah, there was only one site left that was on Telegram, RT News, where you could get the news from a Russian perspective, and it's been taken down. It's been banned.
I know. So God forbid we have another perspective.
So it's actually, unless you are in Russia, you cannot get any news from their perspective. And I'm not saying you fucking dummies. Doesn't mean I'm pro-Russia, but I need to hear both sides. Censoring information is always... No one has ever been on the right side of history by censoring someone or stifling information. If something's a bad idea, sunlight's the greatest disinfectant. You need more people to hear it. Stopping out, like, the more information, the better. The more perspectives, the better. So the more you have someone like Jimmy Dore, who I probably disagree with, those are the best conversations to have, because that's how you hash out ideas. That's how you refine your own ideas. And it's not about, like, I'd bring them around my way of thinking. It's like, no, I need to understand why you think what you think. And you need to understand why I think what I think. And that's how we come up with solutions. I would much rather have a conversation with a just dyed-in-the-wool, like, diehard socialist who's like, here's exactly what I believe, than to someone that I kind of loosely hold these views. I'm not really committed to anything, and just whatever's kind of comes through the mainstream media. That's just I just kind of bounce it back out of my mouth. It's like I have no patience and I have no time to have a conversation with someone like that.
A guy like him, even though he's wrong on economics, he is right on so many things that he'd be willing to have the conversation.
Yeah, the little I've heard of Jimmy Dore, I'm really, really impressed with. Yeah, even though I didn't agree with it all, it's really interesting.
Isn't it crazy how the movie The Matrix
was a documentary?
Well, it's like everyone loved that movie because it rang so true.
Yeah,
it's like it wasn't even. If you go back and watch it, you're like, oh, this movie's kind of a little wonky, especially if you look at the animation and stuff, and it's really almost hard to watch. Everyone loves that movie because it rang so true. The idea of waking up from this comfortable slumber, everyone identifies with that. And the red pill, blue pill thing, it makes so much sense. You have a guy like Jimmy Dore that's totally red pilled.
Yeah.
And everyone, I don't know. It's funny that movie just made such an impact on our culture. No one calls it a good movie.
Yeah.
But the idea that was in that movie was good.
Yeah, the premise of it was really interesting. It definitely makes you think.
Everyone feels like they're asleep and need to be woken up. Everyone knows that the media is lying to us. Everybody knows that they're being played.
Yeah. It's that the most maddening part of just I don't know, watching society crumble around me. It's the people around me. I like having conversations with people I don't agree with, as long as they have, I can think of a specific friend I have. He just sees the world much differently than me, but he's put a lot of thought behind his ideas. So the conversations are interesting and they're productive, on both of our ends. You know what I mean? We have a genuine intellectual curiosity as to how did you get that into your mind? It's frustrating to have that conversation with people who doesn't seem like they put a whole lot of thought into it, and they kind of in lieu of doing any kind of homework or research on to validate the premise and ideas that they have in their head. Instead, they spend that energy as well, if I just have kind of an underlying just knee-jerk devotion to the state and the mainstream media, I'll just kind of do that, and then I'm kind of just spoon-fed my ideas.
And then when you have an argument with them, instead of, this happens to every single person, every status that you ever argue with, you pin them down on something and they move to something else.
Yeah.
And you end up playing whack-a-mole. Mm-hmm. You start winning the argument and then they move to something else. Oh, well, the corporations pay way too much to their CEOs and not enough. It's like, we weren't talking about that. Why are you?
I had that with a friend of mine today. I was like, hey, he said something about Biden. I was like, not really a fan. I'm like, why? I was like, well, we're getting involved in this Ukraine thing, and it's like we have all these problems here at home to solve. And I said, in 2021, the Biden administration set a record for Russian crude oil imports. We currently import 670,000 barrels of crude oil a day, while we shut down the Keystone Pipeline. And then we're also
stopping drilling.
Yeah, they also just asked Congress for $10 billion to send to Ukraine. So we're functionally financing two sides of the same war. Does that make sense to you? You know what the response was? It's like, well, guess the next word came out of their mouth was
racism?
Trump.
Dang it.
I just look at him like, Trump's not president. I'm talking about right now.
God.
Speaking of Ukraine, this might be a regular segment that I do. It's a mess over there, Ukraine, Russia. So who do we send over there to work shit out? Kamala Harris, baby.
Oh, yeah. Smooth talking, smart.
I want to play two clips back to back, and you tell me the difference between these two people.
Okay.
Here's clip one.
If you're watching any level of news, even social media, you're seeing everything that's going on right now in the Ukraine. Break it down in layman's terms for people who don't understand what's going on and how can this directly affect the people of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
I'm tracking.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, could you go over that again? It was a little complicated.
She sounds like me when I was like junior high and I clearly didn't read the book. And Miss Miller's like, Chapter 7, what do you think? Like, oh, yeah.
Well, Russia's a big country.
Well, Old Yeller was a dog. We can all agree on that. And a lot of people, I love my dog. Quick show of hands. Like, who loves their dog?
Yeah. The ending of the book was really happy, sad.
But the best part of those speeches is you just watch her and she has that head nod and those wide eyes and she emphasizes it with her fucking eyebrows. And she'll just squeeze a bunch of arbitrary words together and give this look like, yeah, nailed the landing. Stuck it.
God, I'm smart.
What's the difference between what she just said and this? This is Miss Teen Carolina 2007.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
It makes,
Nailed it.
She makes a good point. Hard to argue with that.
Well, when you really think about it, the only difference between those two clips and those two people is one is second in command of leading the free world.
Miss Teen South Carolina is second in command of...
She's got my vote, baby.
Hey, baby, let's get fucked up. Let's get fucked up. Let's get fucked up. Let's do some stuff and get fucked up. Yeah, tomorrow we'll feel like we've been hit by a truck, but let's get fucked up. Going to a cockfight, burn witch burn. My stuff at Hawk might never ever return. Ooh, going to the brink of oblivion. Gonna need a shrink to get back again. Let's get fucked up. Let's get fucked up. Let's get some stuff and get fucked up. Tomorrow